Have you ever wanted to go tide pooling in Alaska? Here's a video on the ins and outs of how to do it. There's still a few days left this season with the perfect conditions for it. The first thing you're going to look for is a day where the tides are at least a -2 or lower. I do this by a simple Google search for the location that I want to tide pool in. Then I plot it by calendar so it's just easy to see which days the tide will be low enough in that month. Because the last thing you want to do is show up at the wrong time or day and it look like this when it should look like this. So what you're looking for is low tide to be -2 or lower. The two areas I know of near Anchorage, Alaska to tide pool are Whittier and Homer. You figure out the tide schedule in Homer in the same way. Once you figure out the day and time of when you're going, you need to be aware of a few things for whatever location you're going tide pooling. You want to be there at least 1 or 2 hours before low tide. This gives you an ample amount of time to explore before the tide starts coming in. You're going to flip over rocks and see what you find. Things to note specifically about Whittier, Alaska. Liu Young Park is the place you want to go. This is also an area where the salmon come in, so you need to be very bear aware. If you're coming from an area outside of Whittier, then you need to be paying attention to tunnel times. So make sure you get to the tunnel with still enough time to drive to the park and walk out to the water before the tide starts coming in. There are two main spots to tide pool in Homer, Alaska. For traditional tide pooling, you're going to want to go to Bishop's Beach. I would highly recommend going with a guide your first time. You're going to find the information on when the guides are going at Alaska Islands and Oceans Visitor Center. The guide is necessary because it can be extremely dangerous to walk out too far or in an unsafe area during extreme low tides. And finally, if you just want to see a ton of really cool starfish, go to the end of the road park. Maybe it's not traditional tide pooling, but it is really, really cool. If you like this video, please give me a follow and save this video for your future tide pooling adventure.